ready to get started? Good morning and happy Monday. We are here on a brand new day, and I'm so grateful to have you with me. Um, and I want to just say welcome. It is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Monday morning, and I am happy to be here today. Thank you for tuning in to Dr. Tanya Live. I'm going to start with the scripture that I've been starting with, and it really does have implications for today's topic, but it is Ephesians 2:10. For we are God's masterpiece, created anew in Christ Jesus to do so that we can do the good works that He planned for us long ago. And so I have been reading that scripture from day one of these live sessions, and I read them because I think I read the scripture every day because it grounds me and it just reminds me of who God made me to be and who God made you to be, a masterpiece. Okay, so you are a piece of art. You are a work of art, if you will. One version says you are His workmanship. That makes you like really, really special. And if you don't feel special, then I want you to remind yourself of who you are and who God made you to be. He made you to be special. And sometimes we walk around in life, things will bring us down and we won't feel that special uniqueness about ourselves, and we won't see ourselves as being anything extraordinary. But God made you to be extraordinary. He made you to be a masterpiece, and so you are. And so you just have to believe that for yourself. I do have a favor. If you're on here today, I would love for you to just share with somebody that you know, to have them. If you aren't following me already, go ahead and follow me or subscribe to any of my social media platforms. But share with people that you know that we're on here, and today is day 36 of my going live for 90 days. I challenged myself for 90 days. I am already a little more than a third of the way in. And I, every single day, I have been showing up live. Thank you so much. I've been showing up live to talk to women, and sometimes there are men who come on who are looking to understand how they can walk in their purpose. They have a dream that God has given them. There's a business that they have inside of them that they want to start, or that they are trying to start, or that they've just started and they're looking to get it off the ground and get it moving. Those are the people that I've been talking to. Those are the people that I want to continue to talk to. And I'm just grateful to have you tune in, that I can share with you and encourage you in what you're doing and what God is doing in you every day. For those of you who are new, I am Dr. Tanya, and this is Dr. Tanya Live, real talk for women and some men building their businesses. So our topic today, which I had prepared for, and then this morning, I feel like the Lord just kind of like shook me up a little bit, and it is where purpose starts. So the title is going to still be the same, but some of my notes, what I feel like I got this morning, are not in my notes. And but that's okay. We're going to go with what God puts inside my heart as we talk about where purpose starts. So I have to start with this piece on purpose because we are all designed with purpose. So when He created us as masterpieces, He created us with purpose inside of us. It just takes us sometimes a lifetime for many people to discover what that purpose is and what it means to actually walk in that purpose. So, I talk about this purpose thing a lot. I think about purpose a lot. I think about how it applies to our lives. And over the weekend, I saw a clip. I don't know if you're familiar with the late Miles Monroe. Miles Monroe was a really profound speaker, preacher, pastor out of the Bahamas, very profound. And I had the privilege of being able to see him live in person when he was alive, probably, I think, twice. And, he literally could talk for hours, and you'd be sitting there hungry or whatever. But because he was so profound, you didn't want to walk out. You didn't want to leave. You didn't even want to get up to go to the bathroom, because he was one of those speakers. Like, God just put something inside of him that he just spoke to people. And so I was watching this short little clip, and I was trying to find it again this morning because it became relevant this morning. I didn't see the relevance of it this weekend, but it became relevant this morning. And the clip, he was talking about being willing to die for something, right? And so it's like the clip was a short clip. I didn't see what he had said all before that, but as he was talking, he was sharing a story that was about Martin Luther King Jr. and how he had had these death threats, and he was scheduled to go out and speak. His wife really was concerned about his life and whether or not he should actually go out that night to speak, because maybe he might lose his life that night. And he was like, I this is what God has called me to. I've got to do this. And so he does it anyway, right? And so he goes out, and that's when he gives the famous mountaintop speech that most people are familiar with, where he says, like he might not get there to the promised land with people, but he's still going to do, and he's encouraging everybody else to do what it is that they're supposed to do to fight for justice and to fight for freedom, for people and Black people and other people who had been oppressed by our systems in America. And so I saw that. It kind of like, I'm like, oh, Dr. Miles Monroe, oh wow, what a profound guy. And then this morning I was reading in the book of Acts. And this is what connected the two, and it connected to this whole purpose conversation. So I'm reading in the book of Acts. It's the chapter 21, and in it Paul is like traveling all over the place telling everybody about Jesus, right? And so he's going from place to place, and he had been forewarned that that he's a target, and that he's going to be jailed, and he could lose his life or whatever. And his response was basically like, I'm ready to lose my life for this, like for the cause of Christ. I don't care. I don't care what they say they're going to do to me. Doesn't make a difference. It's just, I am, I would be willing to die for this. That's how important this is to me. Like his work on this earth was so important that he was willing to die. Similar with Martin Luther King Jr., right? And so then it really kind of brought this whole purpose discussion to like a different level, right? And so, we when we talk about where purpose starts, I think our purpose starts with God, right? So because God puts purpose inside of us. Now, when we think about purpose, I don't know how many of us are thinking about purpose the way Martin Luther King did or the way that Paul did, where we're thinking that we would be willing to die for the thing that God put inside of us, to do that thing that God has called us to. And it really caused me to have to think about, like, what am I willing to die for? Like, that was like, it was deep for me. Like, it was really deep. It's like, am I willing to die for the thing that God put inside of me? And the honest truth is, I don't know that I am willing to die for that per se, but it also really caused me to have to really like um just like seek God around this whole thought process and conversation. It's like, okay, so Paul was super unique, right? Now we all are, but he's definitely unique in the assignment that he had. Martin Luther King Jr., definitely unique in the assignment that he had. And I don't know that there was something that was extra unique about them, that they were like so willing to like lay down their lives for a cause, and that cause was so important to them that they would be willing to lose their lives over it. I don't know if it's that they were so unique, or if that the rest of us aren't unique enough. I don't know. Um, but when I was thinking about it, I was like, that takes like a lot of faith. But walking in our purpose takes a lot of faith. Because when we're walking our purpose, sometimes we don't know what's going to happen. Just because we're walking in our purpose doesn't mean that it's going to be sunshine and rainbows, that everything is going to be beautiful and pleasant and lovely and wonderful. And that's what we always want. We always think it's going to just be blessings that come to us because we're walking in our purpose. And those blessings may not always manifest in the way that we think that they're going to manifest. I look at, like, Martin Luther King, who lost his life, or Paul, who eventually did as well. But I'm like, like we think about like that kind of drive and purpose. and walking in it and where we are today with what God has put inside of each of us. And it does make me wonder, like, is the purpose that God put inside of you so strong that you are willing to do anything for it? And do you think that if things aren't going well, and if things aren't going right, and if things aren't going great, when you're walking in your purpose, does that make you think that maybe you're not walking in your purpose? And so I pose those questions because I think sometimes we believe that when we say yes to God, everything is going to be wonderful. And it's not always wonderful. Sometimes we are making a sacrifice to do the thing that God put inside of us. But when it's purpose, we will do it. We will do that thing because purpose has a way of not letting us be free until we're walking in it. It has a way of almost, I want to say, like, I don't want to use this negatively, but gripping us to a point where we have to do the thing that we are purposed to do, that we are supposed to do in our lives. Like there's something when God puts purpose inside of us, it is strong, it is powerful, it is a driver. It is a thing that like we must do. Maybe it's not something that we feel like we have to die for, but it's something we feel that we could do for free. Whether we get paid for it or not, we feel we have to do it. And when I think about my purpose in being able to make a difference in people's lives, like I know that I'm supposed to encourage people to live to their max, to their fullest potential. Like I know that that is part of the purpose that God put inside of me. And I can see how different assignments that I've had throughout my life, that theme and that purpose was weaved throughout all of it, right? So everything that I've done that had meaning to me had something to do with my purpose. And it had something to do with what I feel God had put inside of me, which was to really help bring people to their fullest potential. And so our purpose is strong like that. It's the kind of thing that when you look back over your life, you can see how it's weaving its way through different assignments that you have, different experiences that you've had. And the thing about purpose is you have to do it. Like it is compelling you. Purpose compels us. Even when we're not walking in purpose, we find ourselves completely dissatisfied in whatever we're doing because it is not going to fulfill us the way purpose fulfills us. Purpose is the thing that allows us to feel like we are alive and we are like energized, like we're energized by purpose. Purpose has a way of making us feel like we are discovering the meaning of life. So there are people like you, I've heard this many times where, people are like walking through life just trying to discover what is the meaning of life. Like, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? What is that thing that is most important to me? Like, so what's most important to you? What is the thing that won't let you go? The thing that if you could do it exactly like you want, if you could have life the way you wanted life to be and everything lined up the way you wanted it to line up, what is that thing that would be pulling you? What is that thing that would wake you up every morning, that energizes you, the thing that compels you, the thing that maybe you'd be willing to die for? What is that thing? And that is where purpose comes in. It is the thing that won't let us go, the thing that we must walk in that is always going to be bigger than us. Our purpose is bigger than us because number one, God put it inside of us, right? So our purpose isn't just to make us happy. Our purpose isn't just to make us feel fulfilled. Our purpose is going to benefit somebody else and is going to make a difference in this world in some way. That's what purpose is. Purpose is bigger than you and me. It's bigger than what you're doing typically on a day-to-day basis. Purpose oftentimes is bigger than the jobs that we have. It's bigger than the titles and the positions that we have. Purpose is something that God puts inside of us that is going to change things for other people and make life better in some way for other people. It is beyond us. Purpose is not about us. As much as we might want purpose to be about us, it really isn't. But we are the ones who are called to walk out that purpose. And so, what does that look like for you? Like, what does purpose look like for you? What does it mean for you to walk out and live out your purpose? Like, what is that burden that God has put in your heart? Because purpose is found oftentimes in the burden that God puts in our hearts. It is the thing that that we come back to over and over again. It's like you might be going through life, going through the motions of life. You're working every single day, you're raising your kids, taking care of your families, traveling, whatever you're doing on a day-to-day basis. But when you're still and you're quiet and it's just you and God in a room by yourselves, and you have nothing else to distract you. And you've put down the phone, you've turned off the television, you've put away whatever, and it's just the two of you. What is that thing that compels you? The thing that won't let you go? The thing that bothers you more than it bothers anybody else, right? So to me, I and I know that I could see how in my life it has, the through line has been in my life. So when I think about the purpose that God put inside of me to help other people fulfill their calling and to be their best selves, to be the best versions that God has created them to be, to live to their maximum potential. I can see how I've done it in the different positions and assignments that I've had. So I think back to, you know, um, working in the school system, as a teacher and as a principal, all of the work that I've done, even in my business, all of the work that I've done with schools, it has all been for the purpose of creating an environment where students can be the absolute best that they can be. When God gave my business partner, Erica, Dr. Erica, and I this vision around nurturing greatness, this thing is so big to us. It is way beyond us. It really is about how we see the brilliance that God put inside of kids, because their children are amazing. And what dims the light of children is not children. It's the adults that are in the children's lives. We as adults can dim the lights of children and can dim who they are. There What I have often seen, and especially in early childhood, the younger the child is, the more you see how amazing they are, and you see their giftings, and it starts to show itself when they're really young, right? And you see their personalities being shaped and formed, and then they go to school, and somebody says you've got to conform to this box that we put you in, right? And they want these children to conform to whatever, and it's at the risk of the children losing the very thing that gives them life, that just brings light to their faces and energy to their souls. And schools somehow because schools weren't really designed to create kids who are like, you know, doing amazing things. Now, there are schools that do that, right? So, and there are programming and there are individual teachers that might do that, but the overall school system, it was designed to create factory workers in the United States. So, because the school system was created, it was really about compliance was a big piece of it, helping kids to kind of fit into this mold and fit into this little box, and basically churn out little kids who could, eventually grow up to work in these factories. And do your history, like read the history on education in America, and you'll see how, it was about, this industrial age, and school has not changed very much. So when I think about my role in the school system while I was there, and even outside of the school system and the work that I do with Dr. Erica, the passion and the purpose that I feel that God has put inside of us has to do with creating an environment that allows children to be the very people that God created them to be. And that's powerful. Like, so imagine these little beings coming into school with, like, full of life, full of purpose, full of energy. And all of that is squashed because the environment is not designed to heighten that and to promote that. And so when I think about the purpose that God put inside of me, I see how I've been able to use that purpose in the work that I do. That's what happens with purpose. We have purpose, God gives us purpose, and it shows up in the work that we do or the work that we're interested in doing. So for people who God has given a business idea to, and he your assignment is to use business to help you in fulfilling your purpose. There's work that has to be done, right? And what the news that I have to share is it's not always going to be glamorous. But when we're walking in that purpose and we're fulfilling that purpose, there is a joy that comes from that is deeper than what most of us are experience when we're not walking in purpose. What I know is like, I hear from people all the time who have been doing things that are meaningful, but because it's not in their purpose, they are like exhausted from it. They're tired, they are burden, not burden in a good sense, meaning it's like a burden that's on them that they need to fulfill, but they are like overwhelmed, they're exhausted, they want to leave, they want to quit. They dream about the next thing that they can do. And but for many of us, it is hard for us to step away from the day to day that gives us a sense of security or a sense of comfort to walk in the thing that God may be calling us to. It takes an act of faith, a real act of faith to be able to say, no matter what the outcome, if this is what God has put inside of me, I'm going to do it. I'm going to walk in it. So I go back to when I first started talking, and I was talking about this clip I saw with Miles Monroe talking about Martin Luther King Jr. and how he knew that there was a death threat on his life. He pretty much was willing to lay down his life for the thing that God had called him to. And I'm not asking you to lay down your life for what God has called you to, but when we're walking in our purpose, it will lead us to a place where we are willing to do anything. We will do it for free. Like I mentor people for free. I could be getting paid thousands and tens of thousands of dollars for every person that I've mentored and or currently mentoring. But this is a part of who God put, what God put inside of me. It is a part of my purpose. And so, yeah, I will do it for free. And certainly I need the income like everybody else needs income to be able to survive. But when we know we're working in our purpose and doing the very thing that God has called us to do, we will be willing to do it for nothing. That is how compelling purpose is. So if you're not willing to like wake up and do it whether you get paid or not, then maybe that's not your purpose. Maybe that's not what you're being called to. And maybe you need to seek God to find out and to discover, okay, God, what is it that you have specifically for me to do that is going to be so compelling, that is going to make such a difference in the lives of other people that no matter what the outcome, I will still do it. Because here's the thing, even when I go back to that, what I was reading in Acts about Paul, like Paul knew that he had a death threat. He was going to be jailed. He knew all these things were coming. He was told. It was told to him in advance. Excuse me. He knew all this, like it was not going to be good. The outcome, I mean, not the outcome, but his journey wasn't necessarily going to be an easy journey. That's the other thing about purpose. When we are walking in our purpose, the purpose that God put inside of us, that does not mean it's going to be easy. It is going to be challenging from time to time. We are going to face some obstacles and some hurdles. But when we're walking in purpose, we will do that. We will face those obstacles. We will face those hurdles. We will keep moving forward because we know God put that inside of us. What about you? Think about your purpose. Like, are you the kind of person that abandons purpose because it's hard or because you can't see the other side of whether or not it's going to pay off for you? Maybe that payoff is not for you to see. Maybe the payoff is in the lives of the people that you whose lives you get to change and whose lives you get to touch because you're walking in purpose and you're being obedient in your purpose. Are you willing to do what God has called you to do, even if the journey is difficult? And even if the journey is challenging, and even if the journey like makes you feel persecuted in some way, because depending on your purpose, like if you are person whose purpose is centered around justice, trust me, people who have that purpose, those people, they know that the journey is going to be difficult, that the journey is going to be challenging, that they may have to, give up their freedom to fight for their purpose. And so like how you're walking in purpose when it has that kind of meaning for you. Like the meaning of what God has put you here for, like your meaning, the meaning for your life is strong. It is compelling. It is going to pull you. It is going to be a burden for you until you're walking in it. And it doesn't mean that the burden is lifted, because it may never get lifted. It may be that for the rest of your life, you have to continue to do this thing, but you will be fulfilled in it. You will have joy in being able to do it. In fact, it will be the thing that wakes you up in the morning and gets you out of bed every day. And too many people I know are not excited about waking up, and I mean they are excited about waking up, but they're not excited about what they do every day, because what they do every day is not compelling. What they do every day is not purpose. And so there are folks who I talk to weekly who complain about what they're doing. And they are tired and they're worn out and they're exhausted and they're frustrated and they want to leave or quit or retire or whatever, because they're not doing the thing that God has called them to. And maybe the assignment has changed in the season that you're in, because assignments do change when we're walking in our purpose. Purpose isn't a position that we have. Purpose isn't a title. It's not a job. Purpose isn't even our business. Purpose isn't the ministry or the assignment, but all of those things are the vehicle through which purpose gets fulfilled. So we can fulfill our purpose in the vocation that we have. We can fulfill our purpose in the business that we build, in the ministry that we might work through, in the assignment that God gives us. We can fulfill our purpose in all of those things, but those things are not our purpose. And we don't want to confuse them as our purpose. They are the purpose is the thing that God puts inside of us when he designed us because there are plans that he has for us to fulfill. Now, I said a whole lot. And I don't know how much of it really has spoken to you. I hope it has. I hope that you feel compelled to, if nothing else, go back and seek God on what it is that He has called you to do, what it is that He has purposed for you to do, and how you are to fulfill that purpose. Like, what is the assignment that He wants you to fulfill so that that purpose is worked out through what you're doing in that assignment? We have to go back to where purpose starts. It starts with God. And if we don't go back to the one who created us, who put purpose inside us, then we're going to be walking around doing something that ultimately is not going to fulfill us. And we're going to be walking around doing the thing that really we're not called to do. But God does have a calling for you. He does have a purpose for you. You just have to find out what that is. And maybe you're afraid to do that. Maybe there's fear centered around it, because when we walk in purpose, if we know things aren't going to be, we have been trained to just think things are only supposed to be great. And when they're not great, we get concerned and we want to abandon things. But purpose isn't about everything being great. Purpose is about us doing what God has called us to do. So if you're somebody that you find yourself being concerned, overly concerned, and fearful about doing the thing that God has called you to do, I highly recommend that you go to my website, TanyaBreland.com. I have the very thing that will help you work through some of those fears, some of those anxieties that you might have about walking in purpose. I have a couple of resources that I want you to to have access to. Go to my website, TanyaBreland.com. There's a free devotional that I have. That devotional is called When Fear Knocks. It's a 10-day devotional. You can walk through that devotional in 10 days right there on your device. Everything you put on your device, nobody has access to but you. You can download it if you prefer to do that. There's also an ebook and an interactive electronic companion that goes with that ebook called Fear is Not Your Business Plan. So if you have a business plan that God has put inside of you so that you can fulfill the purpose that He has, yet you realize that fear is standing in the way, you need that ebook. So I recommend you get that as well. I hope that what I talked about today resonated with you, that there's something that you can take away. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what this did and said for you. Like, how did this bless you if it did? Um, I would love to hear from you. You can inbox me, email me, Tanya@TanyaBreland.com. You can send me a DM or a message on any of my social media platforms. I do read them and I will respond to them. But I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, go to my website, TanyaBreland.com. Get a hold of those two resources that address fear. Don't let fear stand in the way of you being able to walk in the purpose that God has called you to. And don't be discouraged if you find that as you're walking on this journey of purpose, things aren't going the way that you would want them to go. Tomorrow, we're going to come back here and we're going to build a little bit more on this topic of purpose. And we're going to build on purpose and not look at how pressure can impact us. We're going to build on purpose. That is our focus tomorrow. So come back here tomorrow. We're going to do this again. I want to thank you for joining me. In the meantime, I pray that you have a blessed day. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your